Welcome back. So, I'm wondering if you have ever been in a conversation and you suddenly started second guessing yourself. Maybe you were speaking and thought that didn't come out right, or you wanted to say something but then questioned whether you should say it or not. And before you knew it, you were no longer in the conversation, but you were in your head just going round and round. So, today I want to talk about self doubt in conversations and how to stay present with yourself even when that doubt shows up. So, why does self doubt happen? Self doubt in conversations, it's really, really common. And it often shows up when we care about what the other person thinks. We don't want to be misunderstood, right? We're afraid of saying the wrong thing or we're trying to just get it right. So the mind steps in and it starts evaluating. Was that okay? Did that sound weird? Should I say more? Should I say less? Should I stop talking at all? And the more we evaluate ourselves, the harder it becomes to stay grounded and to be present. So, what self doubt does, what it does is it takes over. And it takes over, and a few things tend to happen when it does. We over explain, we can go quiet, we can change what we were going to say. And so we kind of trip up our words. We try to fix what we already said, or sometimes we mentally just leave the conversation altogether. And when that happens, the conversation often starts to feel less natural, and that's when things can feel more awkward. And we just become more self conscious, not because we did something wrong, but because we're no longer present. We're in our thinking minds. So instead of trying to eliminate self doubt, we want to learn to relate to it differently. We want to change our relationship to the doubt. So the shift is from, is what I'm saying okay, to, can I stay connected to myself while I speak? Self doubt doesn't have to disappear for you to communicate clearly. So, a simple practice that you can use in the moment is, if you notice self doubt coming up while you're talking, see if you can pause, even briefly. So, you'll notice the sensation of doubt. You're going to turn towards that sensation and you'll take a breath. You'll feel your feet on the ground and you'll notice your body. Then, gently return to what you're saying. You do not need to restart perfectly. You can really just continue. Okay, so if you feel yourself getting stuck or unsure, simple language can help you stay in the conversation. So you might just say, let me try to say that more clearly, or I'm not sure I'm expressing this the way that I want to. Give me a second. I want to say this in the right way. And then in that moment, you can pause again, right? So these kinds of statements, they give you space without pulling you out of the conversation. And a lot of self doubt comes from trying to say things perfectly. I know I have been in many situations where I think to myself, if I just said this the right way, the outcome would be different, right? Maybe you felt similarly, but real conversations, they are not perfect. They are human. They're sometimes really messy, right? They involve pauses and corrections and reactions. So you don't need perfect wording to be understood. You just need enough presence to be able to stay engaged and in control of the pacing and in control of yourself, so that then you can express yourself in a kind, honest, and helpful way, so you can stay in the conversation. And one of the most helpful things that you can do is just gently bring your attention back to the present moment, back to the other person. So instead of staying in your head, you notice that you're in your head and you say to yourself, what are they saying right now? How can I be helpful to this person right now? How can I re engage with this conversation right now? This helps shift us from monitoring back into connecting with the other person. So, self doubt doesn't mean you're bad at communicating. It doesn't. And it often means really more that you care. And caring is not something you need to get rid of. We don't want to get rid of caring. So the goal isn't to become someone who never doubts themselves. It's to become someone who can keep speaking even when doubt is present. So if you've experienced self doubt in conversations, you are not alone. right? I still do. And these are practices that I use daily. And you're not doing anything wrong. So this is something you can work with, and it's something you work with gently, and it's something you work with over time. If you would like more support with your communication, I share practices and reflections in my books, my audio courses, and in the Mindful Communication Insider newsletter. And if there's a moment in a conversation where you tend to doubt yourself, just leave it in the comments. I really want to start taking all the comments that I'm getting and answering some of the communication challenges that are coming up in upcoming videos, more in like an ask me anything type style. So please go ahead and share them below. And thanks for being here, and I'll see you next week.